Get ready for takeoff because it's a take flight talk. We got your boys, James Woody, Fitz. We're here to break it down. And these New York Jets, I mean, all they do is win, 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 no matter what. All right, with another victory against the Denver Broncos. Fitz, how you feeling?
I'm feeling like pretty much any other Jets fan in America right now. This is a bittersweet win. It was great to get the win. We I think we could have won by a larger margin. There's a couple things we're going to talk about here today regarding Zach's performance. Obviously, Breece Hall going down, AVT going down. Corey Davis got hurt. Doesn't seem to be like a long-term injury, though, thank goodness. Very bittersweet win, but it is a win. We got to be happy about that, which, of course, as Jets fans, we all are. But luckily, we made some moves within 28 hours of our main man, Breece Hall, going down, bringing in a very, underutilized piece in James Robinson. He doesn't have a lot of mileage on him. He really hasn't been getting a ton of opportunities. But when he has gotten opportunities, he's been great. So I'm very glad we brought him in. Now, obviously, we're going to get into all that, but bittersweet win in TFT Fitz's head. Very bittersweet. But Woody, what were you looking at here on Sunday, and what are your thoughts about how we pulled this off?
Sweet victory. All right, in the locker room, we had this guy. I didn't burn the jersey. I thought about it. I thought about putting it in the trash. But in the midst of a 3-game winning streak, all right, somebody who is considered a foundational piece. He's not some run-of-the-mill. No, he's a foundational piece that was drafted in the second round. All right, was projected to be our wide receiver 1, and while the stats don't really reflect that, the routes run, the usage actually do. They do. And for him to come across and say, hey, I don't want to be here, trade me, I'm done. That definitely has to affect the locker room. There's no way it doesn't. So that in and of itself is a challenge for the team that they had to overcome this week in Denver, playing in the thin air against one of the best defenses in the league. I know they were trending downward. We went over that in great detail, but they're still talented guys, and they definitely brought their A game during this game, but we were able to overcome. Then throughout the game, dropping like flies. Breece Hall, who was the engine that thought he could and definitely did do whatever he could do. I mean, that 60-yard TD was a beaut. And,
Gorgeous.
Now we lose Corey Davis. That's the apple of Zach Wilson's eye. I mean, Corey Davis might as well be a MILF because that's all Zach looks at. Now we got AVT going down. Right. So there was a lot of adjustments. Zach himself said, he looked up in the huddle and saw a whole bunch of faces that he wasn't used to seeing. Denzel, what are you doing here?
Get back in your cage, kid.
Ball out. And although they didn't ball out, they did get the dub, which is obviously the most important thing. You are what your record says you are. And right now, the New York Jets are 5-2. They're one of only 3 teams in the entire AFC with 5 wins. We are in elite standing right now. So
we're in great shape. And, this defense doing what they've been doing it's the backbone. And, we're going to talk about a lot of things here as we do a review of the game and then kind of look at what our outlook looks like with some of these injuries. But, I am not getting tired of hyping up our main man, Sauce Gardner. It's week after week. At some point, you got to imagine we're going to hop in and Sauce got another 3 passes deflected. And we're like, well, another good game from Sauce. Ain't happening. I am keeping the hype train high on this kid week after week. I mean, for him to come in and do what he's doing as our rookie, I had a good feeling about him being able to do this. There was something about his swagger, that he had in college on draft day. never letting up a touchdown in college. Technically, they attributed a touchdown to him this season in zone coverage. Absolute BS. He is 100% still on the no touchdown let up train in my book. But this guy is just week in and week out. Some of the, we talked about this a few weeks ago, the hip movements that he does, that he's got as a cornerback. And that's something that wide receivers and corners around the league, both active and retired, have been absolutely glorifying. They're like, this guy's hip movement is elite. This looks like a 5-year veteran in the league. So he's just been absolutely incredible. DJ Reed, right there as well. I think
he's better. I think TJ Reed has been better this year. I mean,
but the fact that we're in this position where we got two, whether it's one better than the other, it's probably a little bit of an edge on DJ. I think Sauce Gardner with open field tackles, he kind of lets people run through him a little bit more. I'd like to see him hit him back.
And did you see DJ Reed kill Jerry Jeudy?
Destroyed him. Loved it. And if Sauce can pick up some of that from DJ, through the season or into the offseason, gain a little bit of weight maybe, as long as it doesn't impact his speed. Sauce, I think, is gonna be one of the best in the league, even though he's already nearly there now. Definitely. But this defense, just left and right, absolutely loved what we had to see. I'm going to give you a moment on the defense before we move to the offense, which I think we both got a couple points on. But what else you got for the defense to close us out?
I love this defense. It's so refreshing to finally have a team take on the identity of the coach, right? We had the offensive mastermind, Adam Gase, who ran the absolute worst offense in the NFL.
You brought up Gase like 3 weeks straight on this podcast. You're giving me anxiety, Woody. No. You brought him up every single week the last 3 weeks.
Is that true? Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, you just got to, I'm always about where we came from, so I just, that's how I feel good about where we are. To look in the past and be like, oh, that's gross. This is where we are now. And I'll even take it one step to saying last season, our defensive-minded coach had the worst defense in the league. So it was not looking good. This has been something that's been on my mind for years. But right now, we have taken the shape, the vision of that coach, and we have that front four, and the front four is menacing. It is menacing, and yeah, we can rotate guys in and out, but it's not it's not overbearing like it was in the beginning of the year, right? And then Jeff Ulbrich saying dumb things to try to cover his behind. But no, now we actually got people, they're in rhythm, and Quinnen Williams is an all-pro defensive tackle. There's just there's nothing else to say about it.
Period.
LaMarcus Joyner, he leads the team in interceptions. He definitely needs to, pay respect to Quinnen, because that pick this week was all due to Quinnen's pressure and the hit. He literally hit Ripien and went to Joyner. And Joyner did work. I can't get mad. The safeties have definitely dramatically improved from those first 4 games to these games. I mean, right now, it's literally looking like there is no weakness on the defense. Like the linebackers, CJ Mosley is no longer elite in coverage. That is inarguable. But I mean, he's still where you need him to be. He's never been out of position. Quan, if he is out of position, will smack somebody back into, like, he is Quan and Quincy. I mean, they are just ruthless hitters. Quincy led the team in tackling last game. He did work this game. I mean, every single person on defense, come by my house. I'll give you some home cooking. That's all I got to
say. Well, I couldn't agree more. And, we talked about this briefly before we slapped the old record button here. Absolutely, CJ Mosley picked that ball off. You are out of your mind if you think he did not catch that ball. His hands were under that football as he went down to catch it.
No, it hit the ground. It did not hit the ground. No, it
There's
really
no
did
way.
though. No, well, I mean, it was under his hands, but the shape of a football is like long, right? So he had the one
So
Yeah,
tell
the
me
one
more
hand.
about the shape of footballs, Woody. Tell me more. I'm learning. No, this is good. Let me get a pen and paper. Actually, so it's long. You say, okay, that's a good question. It's long.
I mean, hey, he hit his hands under one side, but the other side hit the ground. It was clear as day. They showed it.
It was not clear as day, but we didn't need it anyway, so we will keep on rolling forward. The offense. So Woody, I want to get your opinions here. You know, we had a 61% completion rate by Zach, second straight week where he was under 122 yards passing. We went against two good passing defense, two of the better passing defense in the league. Um, what are your thoughts on Zach Wilson, where he is now, and where he could project to be, moving forward?
Um, I mean, overall, it's definitely not great. It's not great, and I know, like, Jets fans are trying so hard. They want so hard for them to have a Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or even a Justin Herbert, right? And who knows? Who knows? Because Zach has the arm talent of all those guys. He does. He has a big arm, can get the ball out in different angles, and can throw on the run like all those guys. I mean, his release might be even quicker than those guys. So he physically can do it. It's all about, can he mentally process the game quick enough? Can he remain composed, right? Poised. Um, and then also physically not relying on the off schedule stuff. I mean, yeah, we've seen all the highlights of Patrick Mahomes no looking this, shuffling that and all that. But if Patrick Mahomes needs to make a throw in the pocket, he does so with the proper mechanics. And
Yep.
that's one thing that kind of sucks about how media works, is that you only see, the crazy stuff. So these kids, they grow up and they only want to do the crazy stuff. But, people become Tom Brady by focusing on your fundamentals. And there were multiple throws that Zach had a man wide open, and he just, for no reason, threw it off platform. Like,
Yep.
was like, oh, you know what? Let me throw off my back foot, and miss the throw. And that's something that you used to get on poor Sam Darnold,
Yep.
because that's what he was doing. He was unnecessarily just throwing these poor throws, and for both of them, I say, hey, they can make those, when it happens, but you don't need to do that in a clean pocket, and that's what Zach was doing. So, it's definitely not great. I don't want to say it's horrible, but it's definitely closer to horrible than great. Guys were getting open. He had looks, and he was just missing them. So I really don't like that. If I have to give him credit, I mean, the boy's hard. He's hard to sack, man. He's hard to sack. But it's also so reckless. I mean, when he does get sacked, this happened in Miami too. It's like for 15 yards. Like, it's like a Madden sack. Like, it's so bad. So he really, I mean, that's something that I feel like is actually more of a strength than a weakness, because he is, so hard and hard to tackle, and just, so elusive. So eventually I feel like he will understand, like, oh, okay, let me throw it, at this gap, right? Because that's a speed thing. You don't
Yep.
know that Bradley Chubb is this much faster than you anticipate. So I think that will be fixed. But the easy throws, like making the game simpler, that's what they said all offseason. They were like, oh, Zach has improved dramatically at this. Like, this is what we're going to focus on, is just making the game simpler. And it looks like he's rattled. I don't want to say rattled, because it's not like he has happy feet and like he's out of control, but he's not as settled as a QB should be. Like, even Trevor Lawrence, who's not doing great, I feel like looks more poised and is able to make the simple throws
Right.
at a higher clip than Zach.
No, I don't think you're wrong there. I think what's really frustrating, when I'm looking at this, there's a couple things, like when I'm watching Zach play. I think there's a lot of questions we have to ask ourselves, because when he opened up against the Steelers, he looked so much more calm then. He looked, and yeah, there was no TJ Watt that week. But Pittsburgh still has good defense. And he looked comfortable in the pocket. And, the Broncos, they've got a good defense. But, because we've seen him in positions, if you look at Tampa Bay Buccaneers game last year, you've looked at the Steelers game this year, even the Dolphins the second week he came back too. He looked very comfortable. You know what I mean? Like he looked just like he was in control. There was a couple times actually where he looked too comfortable in the pocket for me, actually, where it was like he just barely got a throw off when he was, while the pocket was collapsing. And I'm like, oh, wow, that is a great pocket feel. Either he didn't see him at all or he knew exactly how much time he needed to get off. And I was very impressed with that. And now we're seeing him in the last two games now. He's going in the wrong direction. And sure, we're going up against better pass defense teams, but I'm starting to ask myself here, because he just does not look prepared. Is it a preparation issue? Are we not preparing him for the team we're going up against well enough? Is it him just getting in his head? We've got a makeshift offensive line, with AVT not playing his normal position. Are some things in the line getting his head? I don't know what it is. But what I do know today, October 25th, 2022, if we see the same Zach Wilson that we've had the last 2 weeks, leading into a potential wild card spot, hell, maybe an AFC East spot, Zach Wilson will be a playoff liability if this is the performance that we are getting. Because guess what? We could say that Green Bay and Denver Broncos have a great passing defense. Awesome. We get to the playoffs, they're all going to have a good passing defense. That's the playoffs. We can't just go and keep giving him forgiveness because he's lighting up poorer defensive passing teams and then, getting his ass beat by tougher passing defense. The excuse has to go at some point. You look at what happened last night with Bailey Zappa. The kid comes in, he lights it up. And I'm not saying, it takes more time to develop, i.e. Geno Smith. It took him a freaking decade. But look at what he's doing. But like, seriously, I think this Geno Smith thing is something to look at, because it seems like Zach Wilson has a little bit of an immaturity thing where he's just less developed as a quarterback. And that's what happens, I guess, when you bring in a QB from BYU. And this is something, I was pretty hyped up on Zach, if I'm being honest, going into this last season when we first drafted him. I was like, I like this guy. You convinced me a little bit more on Justin Fields. I had both of them I would have been happy with. I preferred Zach. Look at what Justin Fields did last night. If we had Justin Fields, would we be winning by larger margins? I don't know. I would argue probably. But, there's just a lot of things with Zach where he's got the piece. This is why I made the Geno Smith connection. There's no shortage of raw talent. Geno Smith, nobody necessarily argued that he didn't have raw talent. He had a good arm, generally accurate. It was all up in here, right? Zach Wilson, I think he's got just as much talent plus with Geno, where I think he's better, elusive. He's better, getting away from defenders. Something's got to change. And I don't know if it's coaching. I hope it's coaching. I hope this could be coached through. Because if not, I don't really have the patience to wait 8 more years for him to have a miraculous Geno Smith transformation. But I'm still staying optimistic. I'm hoping for the best. But, the alarm is being sounded on Zach Wilson just on concern. There is reason for concern. Is it preparation? Is there something coaches can do to fix it? Or is he just mentally really not ready to be playing in the NFL right now?
So one thing that I actually I looked at, Kurt Warner has a great breakdown series where he breaks down film, picks certain quarterbacks and goes through. And one observation that I think the Jets will have to face for the next few weeks is that Zach really thrives against zone defense, right? A lot of times LaFleur's plays, they'll have a nice high-low read, right, in the zone. And obviously the defender has to choose high or low. Whichever one they choose, Zach does the opposite. And it's a very easy read, very easy completion. Against that Steelers defense, they literally ran the same play 4 times in a row. it either hit Conklin or Corey Davis, and it worked beautifully. His timing was perfect. He knew what to expect. The Dolphins also played mostly zone. They blitzed a little bit. That's why they were getting in the backfield when they did. But the Packers flipped the script. You always talk about, Matt versus Mike and all that. So they played a lot of man. And with man, Jair Alexander, he locked up Garrett Wilson. And now it's more up to the receivers to actually, make a move on their man. And Zach doesn't necessarily have that same easy read, right? Because usually guys are finding their spot in the zone and Zach can whip it in. Now, here against man coverage, that's really more on the receiver to get open or to create separation. And the QB might have to throw him open. And I think that fear, I feel like Zach, he obviously has the ability to do so. But a couple of times, actually this game, the first 3 plays were all pass plays. I think that was by design because because LaFleur wanted to give Zach an easy one on first down. Say, hey, don't worry, you're all good. But he had to throw him open. And what was it? It was a pass deflection. Second play, pass deflection. Third play, now he's in his head. It's just wildly inaccurate. It was too high. So I feel like that is mental and might also be coaching, right? For the play call. But you kind of saw LaFleur was doing different things. Like now he was sending guys in motion, right? They had guys out of the backfield because that's another way to beat man coverage, right? If you got a linebacker matched up on a running back, is to hit him. And Michael Carter, right? We all know he has great hands and he's elusive. Ty Johnson is even, elusive as well. So with Zach, I feel like the NFL might have identified a weakness of his. We sure know that Bill Belichick is going to test and make sure that this is a weakness. So I think that's something that we got to look at. Hopefully LaFleur knows that this is what people are thinking and going from there. But in terms of everything that you said and Fields, we know that Fields, he's played in the big games. He's been on the national stage. That's what I was always talking about. Fields is the mental is there. His physical is probably not better than Zach. I don't think he has a bigger arm or he definitely doesn't have the quicker release. He's obviously way bigger, faster, stronger, as a runner. But maybe he would have been a better fit for what we're trying to do right now. But Zach, he has to. It's the mentals, I think, and not getting of that first completion on first down and then second down being the same thing. I feel like he was rattled the whole game because he got man looks the whole time. And even when somebody did break their man, like CJ Uzoma on that third down, wide open, he's making the wrong throw because I feel like he doubts his ability to throw guys open.
That's actually a really good breakdown that you cited from Kurt Warner. And I hope the Jets coaching is looking at this. I just pulled it up. I forgot his name. Rob Calabrese, Jets QB coach. I hope he's subscribed to Kurt Warner's podcast or whatever this is because, he's one, I wouldn't put this necessarily so much on the floor as I would Calabrese. If you can go and get into that micro data of it's not necessarily a play call issue as much as it is how do you throw to a wide receiver in zone versus man coverage. And that's something I want Rob Calabrese to be able to work with Zach on and figure out because I think you're absolutely right. He's not, throwing the receivers open in man coverage. And that's something that I hope now that we've got, 2 straight games where this is what we've done, we've got a little bit more data to look at. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't just a bad game for Zach, last week. He is struggling against man coverage, and that is now, what we're dealing with. So I would love to see them kind of dive into, that breakdown, see what Kurt Warner's talking about, and make some adjustments and get these, get this kid prepared better against man coverage. Because, like we're saying, as it stands now, there's definitely some questions at quarterback, and it's frustrating too, because it's like, if we had drafted Josh Allen, because we could have and probably should have few years back, I mean, look at this team. Could you imagine what this team would look like if we just had Josh Allen instead
Well,
of Zach? And
I hate
we can play the wishing game all day long. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this.
no, but I'm just saying
Super Bowl favorites.
We wouldn't have developed Josh Allen. He would have had Rashad Perriman, and he would have been trash.
Well, more than likely, but
if we had this Josh Allen on this team, we can, yeah.
Well, there's something else, Woody, that happened on Sunday, as I'm sure you saw. So, our offensive rookie of the year favorite for the league, the favorite to win offensive rookie of the year, out for the season. Now, this play, I didn't really see where this happened. It didn't look too bad going down, and it's neither here or there. He's out for the season, but I was surprised. I think I texted "season's over" in 3 or 4 group chats after that happened, because he has just been the absolute workhorse for this offense. I mean, if we didn't have him, I think we'd struggle to be at 3 or 4 wins max right now. I mean, if I'm being honest. But either way, 28 hours after Breece Hall goes down, 28 hours later, it is announced that we bring in James Robinson for a 6th round, potentially more than likely going to be a 5th round. I think he only needs like 250 yards for that conditional pick to get bumped up. Woody, want to hear your thoughts? I mean, this was a very quick move by Joe Douglas to replace, our stud young running back. What are your thoughts on the move, and how do you think we project going forward?
I'm in the minority here. All right, there's a reason why running backs are devalued. You actually texted the words "season over" maybe 4 times in that 24-hour span, which was over emotional. It was never over.
Yeah. No. Okay. Sure. Yeah. I know.
So
next question. Breece, yes, I'm emotional Jeff fan. All right. Next question.
With Breece, I think it was obviously a huge loss. AVT in my mind is a bigger loss because of what he can do. AVT, I've already said, I thought he was the single best Jet. Breece is obviously a big loss, right? He has the explosion. I was prepared this whole year to enter the season with MC1. MC as our running back 1. I was prepared. What the James Robinson signing does, really, I think the biggest thing that it shows me is that they're like, we cannot have Zach throw more than 35 times a game. We cannot do that. Zach, he is not ready. That's what this shows me, because I do think they have faith in MC. I do think they like MC, but they know that MC doesn't have the explosion. The same hole, him and Breece Hall. Breece, it will be 6 yards before Breece gets touched. And while MC, when he gets touched, is more likely to break that tackle, he's getting touched maybe 2 yards because he simply does not have the explosion. So what do you want? You want to get an explosive guy? James Robinson, pre-Achilles, post-Achilles, was both looking very, very explosive. I think he actually started ceding work to Etienne in the passing game. So that's where, he started getting phased out in Jacksonville. And, with the Jets, I mean, he's decent enough where, I think Breece was decent enough where he was, on the field as a workhorse back. So I think James and MC both have, great hands. So I think they'll both be a great duo. But what this really tells me is that they don't have faith in Zach. This is about Zach. We cannot be in a situation where he is throwing a lot of time. So we need 2 guys. It's not Ty Johnson. So MC and James Robinson are the new duo.
Yeah, I think that's a large part to do with it. I don't think it's everything. I think, because you talk about the systems a lot, right? Looking at the San Francisco system, the Shanahan tree, that tree is at least 2 running backs, right? And that's what they need. And I think it's probably partially a lack of faith in Zach, where they need 2 very good running backs to be able to make it work, as opposed to Ty Johnson, who I like Ty Johnson. I know people are kind of on the fence on him. I think he was very fun for us in a few games over the few years he's had opportunities in. Didn't see
Definitely.
a lot of consistency, but ultimately I was definitely a fan of his. But I think this is really more of a system fit thing where, the LaFleurs, they like to have a quick guy and, an elusive guy or two quick guys. And currently we don't really have one quick guy. Well, one fast guy.
That's
MC's
true.
quick. When
Yeah.
MC's quick, he's not, I wouldn't say fast. So I think this was really more of a, we're committed to our system. And, Michael Carter and Ty Johnson is not the best options we could do to fulfill what this system needs. And James Robinson, very similar type of back to Breece Hall. I see a lot of similarities between the two of them. I think this was more of a system thing, but also, I think it also did have something to do with Zach too, where it's just like, we need to have two very good running backs to make this work, because Zach's going to need a little bit more help getting the ball downfield. But overall, for us to be able to, replace a guy with, we talked about this. I said this briefly, in the intro. James Robinson is pretty underutilized. He didn't really get a ton of opportunities under Urban Meyer. Now, ETN got every single touch in the game against the Giants on Sunday. So, we're going to get pretty much basically fresh legs out of a running back who, when he's had the opportunities, he's fulfilled. I think he's been great. So I'm very excited about this move. I think it's a great pickup to continue to give ourselves an opportunity to win week after week. And I'm pumped. We were talking.
I was rooting for Kareem Hunt.
I was just going to
rooting
say, we were talking Kareem Hunt or James Robinson looked to be the move. I think this may have come down to, because Kareem Hunt, if you recall, he's been kicked off of a team due to some off-field issues. I think this may have had to do something with the JD, locker room thing. And I'm not saying that's what it is, but I'm trying to if we'll see what Kareem Hunt goes for. Maybe they wanted more and we wanted to just use a little bit less draft capital. But I think either one would have been fun to pick up.
Yeah, I mean, to me, in my mind, Kareem Hunt is a top 8 running back in the league. Like, he is spectacular. When he was on the Chiefs, he was looking like the top one. He was literally looking like the best. Elite route runner, hurdling guys, explosive, quick. I mean, the boy can truly do it all. I was shocked actually when he re-signed with the Browns, because when he originally just signed with them to get a shot. Right, he did have the issue, and the Chiefs didn't even wait for the investigation, which not here nor there. And then the Browns picked him up, and they had the best running back duo in the league. I feel like they've had the best running back duo since he's been there. But now he wants more run, so he asked for a trade, and this is his last year of his deal. I think, and you're right, it could be a pick thing, but if they were willing to take a fourth, I would have offered a fourth for Kareem, and have him play his heart out this year in a contract year so that he can sign for big money somewhere else. Because we don't need, this running back for the next year, right? Breece is going to come back. We still have MC under his rookie deal. Spending money on this position, I don't think it is a great idea. So that's why I was really big from a contract and from a talent perspective. I personally believe that Kareem Hunt right now is probably an upgrade to Breece Hall. Like, that is how good I think he is. Robinson.
Yeah, so that may be the case, but we got to back up here, Woody. For you to you'd be open to giving up a 4th round pick for a half a season rental. Did you forget what JD has done in these drafts? I think 5th at the most for a 1-year rental, because like you said, Breece will be back next season. He may miss a couple weeks, the first couple weeks. We'll see what timelines look like, but that is a lot to give up for a half a season rental when we know what JD has done. And I love that you're saying this, because ultimately, what that shows is we're all freaking in on this season. But and I appreciate that, but that's that also shows that we're bringing in James Robinson for a likely 5th. Because we actually can retain him into next season if we wanted to with the 5th round tender or the 5th year hold. But ultimately, I think a fourth is a little bit much for a half a season rental. Although I agree that would be a better player for an appropriate cost. But when we're getting Breece all back next year, and more than likely we're not going to be seeing Kareem Hunt next year anyway, and he's just going to walk. I'd rather see what JD is going to be able to continue to do with these picks. He trades a fourth and a fifth to get back into the second or whatever the heck he does. I want to keep these picks.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's disrespect to Michael Carter. So now you're telling me Michael Carter's about to be RB3 next year? I can't. He does
Well, that's
so
if we
much.
keep him. We could always go and either, with James Robinson, we can go and extend him and then try to trade him. We could figure things out because, like, ultimately, we might not even extend him anyway. Maybe we keep him for the first couple games to make sure that we're good until Breece gets back. But I agree with you. I don't want us to be having MC as our number 3 running back, but I also don't want to use a fourth overall pick or fourth round pick on a guy we're going to use for half a season.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I mean, I will say the JD Sala connection. If we're talking about fourth round picks in the JD Sala era, we are actually talking about Michael Carter. Right, we're talking about Max Mitchell, and we're talking about Michael Clemens. So, I mean, I guess you got a point.
That's some fun company there. And not to mention, if we try to go and use that to trade up, and I think this is also the last thing I'm going to say on this trade is going into this year. I think me and you were in alignment on this. I think probably most Jets fans, if we were being honest with ourselves, were in alignment on this. This wasn't supposed to be the year we were going to be 5-2. It was not supposed to be this year. It was supposed to be next year. And even 5-2, maybe 4-3, and then we make a run. Like next year was really the season we were kind of telling ourselves, if we were being honest, was going to be the one year we'd make a run. So for us to be in this position now is incredible. But if we're able to go and retain as many picks as we can, so that we can go and pick up some fun guys in the offseason to go into the year that is our make it year. I wouldn't want to give up a pick then. I think we're a year ahead of ourselves right now as it comes to performance and record, which is a great place to be. But I don't want to give up too many picks when next year is really the, I don't want to say do or die, but nearly do or die. Because if we don't do it, I'm swan diving off this apartment complex if we can't make it to the playoffs by next season, because this has been too long. And I love that JD's been aggressive, even if it wasn't our number 1 guy, to go and help save the season and get us a wild card spot.
I mean, you and I were definitely saying next year, right? Any reasonable person was saying next year.
Yep.
You know what? I don't know if Salah was saying next year. All right. Mm-hmm. Based on how these boys are playing and they're fighting, I think they're saying this year. Why not this year? So I don't know if this whole time they've been planning for next year. It looks like this year, and that's what the Robinson, right? Because they could have just said, all right, we'll roll with MC and Ty. Both of them are serviceable, and we'll go from there. But no, we're trying to make the playoffs. This is an aggressive move for sure, with a talented back, and we're not giving up. We're 5-2. Only 2 other teams in the entire AFC have 5 wins. Like, what do you mean? The Bills didn't play, so who knows? The Bill, it's crazy. So, I think they're thinking about this year, and I love it. I mean, tell Brian Dable, next year. I mean, that horrible roster, we thought it was going to take years for the Giants to be something. They needed a new quarterback in Daniel Jones. They got Daniel Jones this last game. He ran 110 yards. He ran for 110 yards in a TD.
Our quarterback threw for that last week. Like, come on. Come on.
So, I mean, what Dable is doing, what Salah is doing, he has his boys playing hard. I mean, Dable, it definitely looks like he has the edge on being able to unlock people. Like, here are the people that I have. I will find your biggest value and we will use it. And he is doing that. I wish we had that. I literally wish we had that. But it's fine, because instead of having that, we have a coach that knows their guys. and says, "Hey, I want this guy, I want this guy, I want this guy." And with
Well,
the
we
guys,
might not have exactly what Dable brings to the Giants, but I think we do at a delayed rate. You know what I mean? Like this, we're now 2 seasons straight where it took LaFleur 4 or 5 games to figure out how to run an offense. It took Ulbrich 4 games to figure out how to run an offense this season. So, I feel like we do have that. We can maximize players' ability. Quinn is having a breakout season. I mean, we've said this, he's been a little disappointing as a third overall up until this year. Now he is probably jumped back up to be one of my favorite players in the team. So for us to go and have the delay is frustrating because I think as much as we are absolutely over ourselves to be 5-2, I think there's a very good argument to be made that we should be 6-1. With how some of those first 3 games went with bad offensive game plans, really bad defenses. But from all indications, it looks like LaFleur as well as Ulbrich have finally, they made it there. They got there. I think we're maximizing the potential of our very young players. DJ Reed is stepping in, playing phenomenally. Obviously, we talk about Sauce. All these other pieces are coming together so well. So I don't think it's as quick. Obviously, we're not as quick of a turnaround as what Daboll and that administration is bringing in, but I think there are a lot of similarities where we are making do with the best that we have. We're dealing with a lot of injuries here, especially in the offensive line. And to go and see Max Mitchell play as well as he did in the short time that we were able to have him, was very fun to see. AVT is all over the offensive line. That takes a warrior of a player, but it also takes good coaching for them to be able to go and get them caught up to speed on a new position they haven't played before. And I love what the coaching staff has done here, but again, just a little bit slower than Daboll and the men in blue.
AVT, the best Jet on my list on the team, lost of the season with an elbow.
Yeah.
Just horrible to lose because they were obviously our 2 best offensive players. Lost for the season, same game. That is so Jets. But the reaction hasn't been so Jets. Again, reload, all that. The O-line. My message to Jets fans: don't be nervous. I'm serious. Don't be nervous. All right. Dwayne Brown, he's doing work. I know he had a couple of penalties, but it was also his downfield block that opened up Breece for that 61-yard scamper.
Yep.
Dwayne Brown is getting to the clarity. So he has been playing really well. Laken Tomlinson, there must be 2 of him. There must be 2 because sometimes he's doing work and then other times he is playing like dead trash. I don't know what's going on.
He started very slow, but he's been getting better the past couple games.
But there were even plays this past Sunday where it was just like, what are you doing? A lot of or multiple pressures that Zach had to deal with where there were 3 guys in the backfield. Started with Laken just pulling the Connor McDermott, just not even. So he is something, but I do think Dwayne being there, being the dog that he is, has been helping. Connor McGovern, the single most reliable lineman we have. Now that AVT is gone, I mean, the boy, has he even missed? I think he missed 1 or 2 games last season before coming back. And bless you, now he's been doing work again. We don't talk about him because we don't have to. He's doing his job.
Yep.
Herbig stepped up. Now, this is the biggest question mark. This is her biggest question mark because was he playing well? Because AVT, was doing so much work on the right tackle. Like now that we have another tackle in, I mean, the offensive line, they didn't really hold up, but we know the Denver pass rush is elite. The Pats, the Bills, I mean, those are more good defenses. I don't know what to make of the future of this offensive line. It's definitely not horrible. All right. I'm tired of people saying, oh, our quarterback only has, a second to. No, our offensive line has been significantly better than it's been at any point of the 3 years pre-Salah. But where is it? Is it 20th? Is it 11th? Mm-hmm. We know it's probably not going to be top 10 this year without AVT. Fant's going to come back. Mitchell's going to come
Yeah, I'm
back.
trying to find some. I can't find anything on George Fant's return. Do we have any idea?
He was actually eligible to come off IR this week. It's
But he
been,
didn't.
but he didn't. So, um,
Well, I mean, we
couple
did
weeks
scoop
out.
up Mike Remmers, and he's been now with the squad for a few weeks, so hopefully he's been caught up. Another makeshift and great pickup, but by JD. We'll see if he plays. Hopefully, we get George Fant back. But also, like we talked about a few times this season, is he good at right tackle? I don't know. Is he like he's a left tackle stud? He's a right tackle question mark. So, even if he does come back this week, could Mike Remmers make a run for it? I hope not. I want George Fant to have it. We're paying him enough. But I agree with you. Losing Elijah Vera-Tucker is a horrible, horrible, horrible loss. I'm going to say horrible one more time, horrible loss. But, if Dwayne Brown can get these penalties to slow up, there's only one bad game with penalties. Yeah, I think he had another one other game where it wasn't great. But if Lakeland Tomlinson could get consistent, McGovern keep doing his thing, Herbig do his thing, then if Fant can come back or Remmers step up, we're going to be in okay shape. But this really, again, is just another testament to the depth of what we've brought in with JD and Salah, analyzing this talent, knowing, who we have to bring in to put together this makeshift offensive line. And I'm loving the fact that we're going to be, we're down three left tackles, I suppose, three tackles. We're now down a guard, two guards, and we're still like offensive line. I'm not like super concerned. Like I wish it was better. I wish we were healthier, but like, wow. Depth is strong, man. Herbig was a tremendous pickup. Lakeland Tomlinson, if we didn't have him, we might have to, have Elijah Vera-Tucker playing right tackle and right guard at the same time. like I don't know what we would be doing if we did not have Lakeland Tomlinson, despite some inconsistencies out of him. So, definitely some positivity relative to the depth that we got, despite some terrible, very, very sad injuries. But I'm with you entirely. I'm still optimistic about what this offensive line is going to be able to do going forward.
Last thing on the flight before we land this thing is this boy again. With Corey Davis going down, he's day to day. We don't know what's going to happen. We do obviously have a preview show. It's actually going to be a real exciting one coming up. So we'll, cross those bridges when we get there. But we need Elijah more to just, understand. I mean, you're a passionate individual. You want to contribute to the team. The team is balling. They've now won without you. And, you should just want to play, and I understand that you do want to play, and the game plan hasn't been featuring you the way that you feel like you should be featured. But this was definitely a very much a 22-year-old move. That's what this was, an emotional move, just – tuck your tail in, man, and just be like, hey, I'm back. I'm ready to play. Because best believe they about to use you right now. If they don't have Corey, we already know, Robinson's going to have to get up to speed. I'm sure he'll play, but, he's going to have to, get up to speed. It's time to start to unleash Elijah. Denzel Mims, our wide receiver 5, got some burn. He had a catch.
And a drop.
Yeah, a drop that you I don't even want to say what you said on a 4-yard pass on 2nd and 17 for you to have that reaction when he was throwing a horrendous ball. I don't even know what to say there. But
he needed to prove himself, and he had to drop, and that's been his problem. I'm not going to rip him. It didn't make a difference. You're right. It was not a game-changing situation. It was a catchable ball that he dropped. That's all I said.
Catchable ball.
You heard me. Yeah, he's a wide
Lord.
receiver in the NFL who's claiming that he should be having more playing time, and he dropped the ball. The ball
he should have more playing time, And when you throw him like it doesn't have to be perfect. You throw him a decent ball, he catches it. But if you throw 75 miles an hour behind the receiver, guys aren't catching that.
I'm sick of it. And I'm sick of talking about him. I really
we haven't talked about him one time. This is our first episode.
Not here. No, not here. But this is what I'm saying is this guy, we now have 2 wide receivers on our team that requested a trade. I'm sick of talking about Elijah Moore. As much as that's weird to say. Like when I say that, I mean like this negativity. I don't like these negative, people. Denzel Mims, like, I'm moving past him. I have nothing to say about him. I think he's had opportunities that he has not stepped up for. I think there's a lot more stuff happening at practice that we don't know of. I'm just kind of done with him. But looking forward, it's going to be great to have Elijah Moore back. Hopefully, he's not a prick about it. Because if he so much as looks at Salah the wrong way on the sideline, I think he's going to get his ass benched again. And I hope he's going to come back with some humility, this week. But very frustrating. Like you said, Corey Davis going down, having to bench Elijah Moore. The Giants are doing it with no name wide receivers at all. You can't name a single wide receiver on the Giants offense unless you play fantasy football and had a hot waiver wire pickup. That's the only way you can name a single player on their offense, and they're still being able to make things happen. So we'll see. I'd love to see some more Conklin and Uzoma action, with Corey Davis down. But we'll see. We got the Pats this week. Gonna have a very fun show coming this Thursday. Woody, we got any final thoughts?
No, I'm still trying to recover from all the unnecessary hate toward my boy Denzel. But Jets 4 straight. Just to show the grit, all right, turmoil in the locker room to overcome that, injuries on the field to your best, okay, to the best players on your offense, overcame that. This team, different new Jets, we've been saying it all year. And if you ever needed proof, any Jet regime would have folded with last week's or with this past game. They would have folded. But right here, right now, these different new Jets, they fight and they win, and now it's 4 straight. So we'll go into this preview.
We're going to go and tell you if it's going to be 5 straight on Thursday. So plug in to Take Flight Talk on Instagram. It's at take_flight_talk. Take Flight Talk was already taken. I did not want to use those underscores, but here we are. Plug in there and take a look at us coming in Thursday afternoon. We're going to have some clips posted up on Instagram by Thursday evening. Thank you guys for checking in.
Later.